honored to have the three of you here with us today. Congratulations on Your Feet. This musical has now been on Broadway for 6 months. It's running strong. It is as fantastic as it was during the first week of previews when I saw it for the first time. I've been back multiple times. I want to know, has it gotten old to you to see your story over and over again on stage?
Never. How could that get old? You know what's funny? We notice nuances every time that weren't there before. They throw in little ad-libs that are really funny and that we get, and it's just they've grown into their roles. And then, of course, ultimately you get to see understudies step up and do things that are amazing. And yeah, honestly, it does not get old. We've seen it a lot of times, and each time I think, okay, I'm not going to cry this time. But then I see a big, beefy guy shedding tears, and that's it. I lose it, too. So it's beautiful.
Listen, don't ask anything about marriage, because we've been married almost 38 years, so that doesn't get old either. So 6 months get old?
Well, that's a legendary piece of your story, is that, Emilio, you were Gloria's first boyfriend.
Yes, first and only. How about that?
But I know she wasn't your first. But she's the most...
I don't think I would have wanted that, though.
Oh, well, there's these legendary stories about you and an older woman who taught you everything you know.
And let's bring out Olga. Olga!
And this is Alex, by the way, who wrote the book for this musical, who adapted the life story
one and only
of these two.
Oscar-winning Alex Dinelaris.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
That's right. Best known these days for Birdman, but with an exceptional theatrical history as well. How did you get attached to this project?
Nick Scandelius from the Nederlander organization came up to me. I was working on a musical of The Bodyguard, the Whitney Houston, for the West End of London.
Which just was announced, its first U.S. tour is going
It is, starting at Paper Mill Playhouse this fall, right? Nick had seen my book for The Bodyguard and asked me, he said, look, I have this project, would you sit down and talk to me about it? He said it was Gloria and Emilio, and he asked me to go down to Miami and meet with them. And I went down, and immediately the first thing I said was that you guys are a writer's nightmare. Like, they're married forever. They're the jolliest, nicest people. They're in love. I was like, where's the booze? Where's the story? But
that's after the show.
That's after the show, yeah, or intermission. But having met them for a few hours, I guess about 3 hours that first day, and Gloria threatened me. She did. She was like, you have to do this. You have a Cuban family. Don't disappoint them. I was like, oh, okay. I was in. I was all in. And that's how it started. It was really quick from there.
How long ago was that?
3 years?
3 years.
3 years. It's quick for Broadway standards.
Yeah.
Really.
I mean, from the time we had the script to Broadway was lightning quick.
And when I read his script, his first draft that he sent to me, I couldn't believe it. I was blown away. And of course, the director always comes in and then, they have their say. But he blew me away. I had read his stuff, and when he walked out, I knew that he was really busy, and he had a lot of things on his plate. And I told Nick, I said, if he wants to do it, don't look any further. I don't want to see anybody else or talk to anybody else. That was it. See? One and only, one and only.
Very grateful.
Which parts of the story are the truest to your real life, and which are the most adapted for theatricality?
It's all pretty true. The only thing that was adapted was the fact that my mother is dancing in Montmartre, and she constantly says, I never danced in Montmartre. I go, Mom, you also never sang Mi Tierra. It hadn't been written back then when you lived there. That's the only thing really, but she was the star of her school. She played in multiple places, a radio contest. She won a contest to be Shirley Temple's double. So working those things into a theatricality, and we really crunch time, but everything is pretty real in there, pretty much everything.
Every good story has a central conflict, and because you guys didn't seem to have any internal struggle within your relationship, the relationship between Gloria and her mother, whose name is also Gloria, becomes a central conflict point in the story. Can you talk about that?
Of course, she is Gloria, by the way. To me, my friends call me Missy, or Yoyi, or like if he calls me Gloria, I know I'm in trouble.
Uh-oh.
And he gets mad, but she is the Gloria. My mom is a typical Latin mom. The difference is that my dad was very ill. He got sick at 34 years old when he came back from Vietnam. He had Agent Orange poisoning. So she was facing, having to continue to raise us alone, pretty much. And we took care of him, of my dad. And when he stepped in, he was, I joined the band for fun. My mom was at the wedding that I sat in with his band because he had remembered meeting me once before at a place where he came to give us pointers, and that's where he showed up in the little short shorts
Right,
that are
so-
in the play.
The Josh Segarra, who plays Emilio in the show, that's right. He walks out onto stage in these tiny white short shorts, and I was very pleased to learn that those are based on a true story.
Yeah, but those are much cuter because the shorts he was wearing when I met him were made by his mother of what I assume was a piece of the couch, because it was like upholstery, these shorts. Honestly, they were brown.
That was the look.
Yeah, no. But then he's playing the accordion in these short shorts. He looked like he was naked. He has better legs than Josh. He has great legs. That was the first thing I noticed, and then his hands, because he was playing the accordion. But anyway, I digress. So I get to that wedding with my mom, which she guilted me into going to because I was working 2 jobs and going to school full time at this moment. And she goes, "Your dad can't go." I go, "Okay." So I walk in, and I recognize vaguely this face, but he's playing "Do the Hustle" on the accordion with his band. And I go like, "Whoa, that man is very brave." And he was super charismatic. The band sounded wonderful, and we ran into each other in a doorway. And he asked me to sit in with the band. Now, my mother was listening in. So she goes, "Yeah, sing," because her friends were there and whatnot. But then he asked me to join the band that night, and she glared at me like when I told her. I go, "Don't worry, Mom." I said no. 2 weeks later, he calls back. And I really wanted to do this, so I joined the band for fun. She kept saying, "Oh, the head of your band is so cute. Don't you find him interesting?" I go, "Mom, he's got a girlfriend. She's older. He's not interested. This is my job. I want to keep it that way." Then when he asked me on the first date, it was, "Oh, he asked you out. That's so nice." Then the second day was, "Oh, he asked you out again?" And the third time, she slammed the door in his face, and then all hell broke loose after that because she saw it was going to really happen, and she was very protective. And then as time went by, and I wanted to take my sister on the road, she got really very upset, and she said, "Okay, if you do that, I'm not speaking to you again." And I go, "Okay."
And that's all a very important crux of the show,
Yes.
because you didn't speak to her again until
2 years. We didn't have cell phones at that time. They were just starting the cell phone, and you couldn't. And we were traveling the world. We were on a 2-year tour, pretty much. We only had like 2 weeks in between the legs. So I would attempt to call, but she was being, like a Cuban mom that like, she's right, and never did she imagine that what happened would happen.
And that is?
That accident. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that, Emilio, the bus accident a little bit?
Well, the bus accident, definitely, it's about destiny. And, I mean, we was on top of the world, and everything was happening so well and everything. But she was, just being careful about, her daughter. But it's funny in the play when I remember one time we was taking Becky on the road. I said, "I think it will be good for her." You say, "What are you talking to me?" I mean, she was really strong. I mean, but she's like my mom now. She's closer to me than she's probably to the 2 daughters, and I love her. But it took me almost 20 years. And when the accident happened, she saw on the news that said Gloria Estefan dead.
Yeah. She literally saw. She was a teacher, and she was at a meeting, and the ticker on the TV was on, but quiet, and she saw Gloria Estefan dead in bus crash. That's what she saw.
And that is the first time that she hadn't spoken to you in 2 years when that happened?
Right, exactly. Since I'd taken off on tour.
The story of the bus accident, I remember when it happened. I was pretty young, but I remember being inspired by your coming out of the dark, and that's the moment in the show that provides it's not the finale, but it's towards the end of the show. And actually, I interviewed Anna, who plays Gloria, here at AOL on the 25th anniversary of the day of that performance.
Yikes.
And I went back and I watched your performance, having just seen hers, and it's still to this day, more than 25 years later, one of the most inspiring moments from the history of music.
Thank you so much.
And
Could you see my knees knocking? Because my dress...
Nope.
I go,
didn't
people are
show
going to
at
think
all.
that I'm still paralyzed, but no, it was so emotional. It was very tough for me to do, and he kind of pushed me into it. So he was sweating bullets thinking, it better go well.
Well,
I
nice.
mean, I was so excited when Dick Clark called and said, Gloria, they called for the American Music Award. I mean, this is a perfect time, because sometimes you have difficult times in life, you have to set up a goal. I said, I know she can do it. She was working so hard, and that will inspire her. But instead of going like they say, oh my God, I'm happy, say, I'm not ready, baby. There's no way I can do this. And I say, well, listen, we'll do whatever you want, but I think this will be fantastic to do. But you know, yeah, I mean, she was nervous, I was nervous. I say, if something goes wrong in the American Music Awards, she will never talk to me again, ever. So thanks God, everything was fantastic. And, you know, I was there with my family and with Tommy Mottola, with a lot of people next to me. There was a sort of family. And you know, it was one of the moments you never forget, because, you know, it's like coming back. And I think, you know, sometimes people live for granted, realize that your life can change overnight. It happened in 9/11. People left and never come back, and you know, that's what you have to live your life to the max and try to enjoy every single moment. And I think after that, we learn about a lot about how life can be so difficult sometimes.
Alex, did you always know that moment was going to be the heart of the show, the American Music Awards performance?
It came to me pretty early. One of the challenging parts about doing a musical that has a catalog to it is that you want to incorporate the music and moving the story forward. You just don't want to stop for the music. When you saw Coming Out of the Dark in that moment, the bus crash seemed obvious to me to be what we call the end of Act 2 of a 3-act structure, the part where things go wrong. And so once I knew that, the only way out was for her to stand up again. And by standing up, I mean sing. And if you look through the story of the mom, everything we tried to tie into the theme was, no matter what happens, these two, and hopefully all of us, get up and move on. And that's what they did when they were, you know, told they weren't going to be able to do what they want to do from record executives. That's what they did when, you know, that's what her mom did when her father was faced with their family was faced with the crisis of their father's health. It's just moving on, and Emilio always talks about the American dream and what it means to him. So the bus crash seemed obvious because she had to get up again and sing that number, and Coming Out of the Dark seemed perfect. So it was pretty early on that I figured that would be the capsule of time that we'd use for the story.
While we're talking about the music, I need to mention the fact that the cast recording comes out this week, this Friday. And there's something special about this album, which is that it was actually recorded live. That's rare for a cast album. And Emilio, you as a music producer, how much insight did you have into the fact that this would be a live album and not a studio album?
It was our decision, me and Gloria, and I saw, I said, listen, in order to capture these emotions, definitely we have to be live. To me, as a producer, even, you know, I won Grammys and everything, this has been one of the hardest things, because to capture, almost over 100 mics open. It's like, imagine, like, the amount of leakage you have between instruments and people talking and singing and harmonies. But we accomplished the whole thing because technology, one of the things is, you know, most of the time when you're talking to a mic, you're talking right here. Mm-hmm. The mic, when you are in Broadway, is right here. So you have to reverse the whole sound to get the sound from outside. But I think the capture, you know, and I wanted to do it definitely because Miami Sound Machine is still performed there in the show. Most of the people, they don't know, but it's really the real band.
Yeah,
it's been with us over 30-something years.
Instead of a Broadway orchestra, they actually brought in the original Miami Sound Machine.
7 of the 13
with
are our
the
guys.
yeah.
Which really adds an extra layer of authenticity. Those beats, man, it's the...
You know something, when we opened the show, people don't realize, we opened with a 6x8 about religious Cuban music, Afro-Cuban music. And, you know, I love to see people's faces. They start doing this and jumping and dancing, and I love that. It's a great feeling.
It is impossible not to move to those sounds.
Very
And I think that's what you guys tapped into so early on, was identifying this cultural music and making it a global phenomenon.
And, you know, we wanted to make it real. That's why he did such an incredible job, because he really respected all the elements. We were so lucky, even he won the Oscar for Birdman. And you'll see. And you had your second Oscar now, so
We're very lucky that we hired him before he won the Oscar for Birdman.
But now we have to work a deal now, because, you know, you're too famous now, Alex. But, you know, the whole thing about this play is about being real. I think when people tell me this will inspire Latino, they say, not only Latino, this definitely will inspire minorities. That we live in the best country in the whole world, and, you know, anything can be accomplished, and don't let anybody change your life. If you believe in something, you can do it, and this is a country you can do that.
I remember reading that, yes, let's pause for applause. I remember reading that you were told that you were too old to learn music.
Yes.
And you decided you were going to do it anyway.
Well, the guy told me, I said, listen, I love music. I left Cuba, and I couldn't have money even to eat.
This was in high school, by
In
the way.
high school. And they told me, you're too old to learn music. I got been nominated 42 times, and I won 19 Grammys. So, don't let anybody tell you you cannot do things. And I don't know music, but I still write and still play and I still do everything. I mean, I'm full of life.
You're never
Still
too
play
old to
that
do
accordion?
anything.
Oh, yes.
That sister of mine that we took on the road that traveled the world with me and had a great time, she the reason we took her on the road is she was really messing up. She lost my dad and she kind of went crazy. She wasn't going to her classes. She was hanging out with, not so good crowd. So I wanted to take her with me to protect her. And my mom kind of freaked out that I was taking the only remaining daughter that was there. But now, she came to me a few years ago and she said, do you think I'm too old to do what I dreamed of my whole life, which is become a nurse? And now she is an RN working at the Miami Children's Trauma Center, and I'm so incredibly proud of her. She's gonna go on to be, physician's assistant. I told her it's never too old. You still have 25 years that you're gonna work. Do what makes you happy. And she's the best nurse on the floor, so I'm super happy. And see, you're never too old to do your dream.
Are you trying new things these days? Any new hobbies?
I told her I wanted to become a doctor, but she said, if you do that, I'll kill you. I'm
You're a
already a doctor. My friends call me before they call their doctor.
So I want to mention Andrea Burns, who plays Gloria, the mom, who is one of the best actresses on Broadway, and I hope she is with your show for a good long
So do
time.
I.
If she ever takes a break, will you step in as the role of your own mother?
Gosh, that's hard work. What she does with those dancers, that dance number, damn, her leg is like up here. I don't think my rods let my leg go that high.
I want you to remember that I asked her that 2 years ago before the show was written, and I said, you got to promise me that.
I'll tell you what, I'll play grandma.
No,
That I would
come
love.
on. And you did, by the way.
Yeah, no.
She nervously promised
Okay,
me.
but I'm gonna switch to grandma because grandma doesn't have to have her leg over her head.
I have a feeling that the choreographer might adjust things according to your
But I
needs.
don't want him to adjust things.
So you're saying
Kind of
there's a chance.
cannibalistic
That's
to
what I'm
play my
hearing.
mother. Oh my God. I don't know.
That's my big wish.
That would
I'm
freak
putting it
me
in,
out.
into the
Me
universe.
too.
Me yelling at myself, there's something very odd about that. Don't do this, Gloria. I don't know. It's like weird. It's like everybody was saying when we were trying to find, we hadn't found Anna yet, and my daughter, I mean, she looks exactly like me. She's graduating from the Berklee School of Music, and by the way, co-wrote with me, wrote the music for the only original tune in the play. So we were trying to cram her in every way possible into the play. I go,
my
can't we have an
bad.
epilogue? Can't we put what happened? And he's going, it's not Broadway.
Can't do
The
it.
story ends there. So she's in the play now in the best way possible because she wrote something with me. But they kept saying, why don't you play your mom? And she goes, Mom, I'd have to kiss Dad. It's too weird.
You say, have you seen Josh Segarra? Well, it sounds to me like there's a sequel in the works, Alex.
Yes.
Not to mention the fact that Emilio has this whole professional history outside of Gloria that I think people sometimes forget because you guys are so closely associated. But I think there may be a second Broadway musical just based on Emilio's
I'm
work.
in.
You're in?
I'm in, totally in.
You heard it
In
here
with you,
first,
baby.
guys.
We love you. You know one thing, we are loyal to people. And when we work with people that we love. They've been with us, including Miami Something, over 35 years. The same guys. They don't look the same, but it's the same guys.
They hold up well, though. Music keeps you younger, that's for sure.
People ask me, I got this yesterday, and they were asking me about what was it, because they got honored by the Actors Fund last night, appropriately. And they were asking, like, what is it like to write the story of two people this famous who are alive when they're near you? And it's not a job you really want, because, holy God, And you're like, this is you arguing in your house. Does it sound like you guys? But working with that was amazing because the story was there, their characters come out clearly, but the one thing they didn't do was intrude on the process. I mean this most sincerely. They let me choose. They trusted that I would choose the music, and they let me choose, trusting that I would pick the hits or whatever. They never said this song has to be in or that song has to be in. I tried to use songs that went. They never, when I wrote some tough scenes in there that they were based on truth, but and they had to sit there and listen to it, but never said, you can't say that, you can't do that. And I think that's pretty amazing because you would expect that you'd be like over your shoulder. We want to look great. Don't make us look bad. Don't make my mom look bad. Don't make anybody look bad. But they were never like that, and that made for a really relief and an enjoyable time for me to write. So it's a credit to them.
You took it easy on my mom, though, so thank you. No.
A bit.
Yeah.
It's
You see the play, you can't believe it if you see the play.
Only 10% you wrote about my mother.
But he took it easy on her.
We have time for a few questions from the audience if you guys are up for it.
Of course.
Hey guys, Gloria, Emilio, Alex, thanks so much for stopping by AOL Build. It's a true honor. I saw On Your Feet one of the most beautiful love stories I've ever seen. Congratulations to all of your success. This question goes out to the three of you. What are you most proud of the end product of the show?
You want to start, Alex?
I guess what I'm most proud of is I sit there. My daughter is 5 years old, Amalia, and she's now seen it 7 times. She does, and you ask her what her favorite part, she's like, bus crash. And she met Gloria. Gloria asked her, she's like, what's your favorite part? My daughter's like, bus crash. Gloria was like, not so fun for me, but okay, whatever. But when I sit in the audience with her and I sit in the middle, there's this box up on the right side where I hide away. It's one of those theater boxes, but nobody sits, so I sit there so I can watch the audience and the show, especially doing previews when you're measuring it. And I think when you see, Gloria mentioned it before, I think that there's a lot of laughter. I think everybody, the music, you see people moving the thing. But also we get gasps and we get cries. And there's one moment that I'm proud of, which is a monologue I wrote for Emilio based on his spirit, where he looks at a record producer and the guy says, you can't record in English, you're not going to do it. And he says, look, for 20 years I paid my taxes, I've done my thing. I don't know where you think I live, but this is my home, and you should look very closely at my face because this is what an American looks like. And the audience spontaneously applauds, and if you try to write spontaneous applause, it comes out as grandstanding, so you never know that's going to happen, but every single night he says that, and I think in the day and age of politics that we have right now, that line resonates, and every night they spontaneously clap. So I'm really proud to have filtered down Emilio's sort of view on the world into a monologue that seems to resonate with audiences, and that's my favorite moment.
I think for me, I'm extremely proud that 90% is Latinos for different parts of the country. We didn't have to change our last name. We got no pressure to be who we are, and I'm proud that the diversity in this country is what makes this country incredible. Absolutely.
And for me, as well, as Alex says, when I talked to Anna before we started the process, and I said, I wrote her a note actually that I left in her dressing room, and I said, there's going to be moments where you think, what the hell did I get myself into? Because 8 shows a week, respect to Broadway, I always did. I've been a big fan and follower, but when you see what they actually do, these performers on Broadway, they are triple threat, singing, dancing, acting 8 times a week. Nobody else does that. No pop star, no opera singer. There is no other entertainer or musician that does as many shows as the Broadway community does to entertain everyone that comes to New York for Broadway, because Broadway is one of the big draws. And I told you have the opportunity to inspire someone in that audience every night. Not just stand up there and entertain them, which is good and it's a given, you're gonna do that. But you have the opportunity to change some minds, to give them new ideas, to empower them maybe to take up a dream that they didn't, that they had given up. Or maybe they've had a situation with a family member and maybe it reminds them, let me fix this, because things can change at a moment's notice, and then how are you gonna feel if you, left that unsaid or undone or didn't fix it? So to me, the most beautiful thing, like Charlie Chaplin says, it's hard and beautiful to make people laugh, but to make people cry, if you do both, you're doing an incredible job. And they do that every night in that show, because everybody that comes out tells me, oh my gosh, you made us laugh, you made us cry, we had such a good time. And then they dance at the end, because we want to leave them happy. We don't want to leave them on a downer or in a difficult, serious moment. So I think we've accomplished that, and that to me is the best.
The show lives up to its name, for sure. Everyone in that theater is on their feet. I think you named it well. I think you wrote it well. I think you lived an incredible, inspiring life, and you continue to do so. And thank you on behalf of this crowd, the crowd watching at home, everyone who has come to see the show on Broadway, and your entire fan base around the world. It's an honor to have you here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
You got it.